As we always say, good teams find a way to win. Bad teams find a way to lose. Right now, the Guardians are finding ways to lose, and they are not helping themselves in the process.
Tanner Bibee of the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I don't know about you, Jeff, but yesterday I was mad. Today I've moved on to not mad, just disappointed.
Just depression?
Straight depression.
Just depression.
I take my meds every day, so I don't have to be. But the Guardians are really challenging how much that really is effective. In today's Locked On Guardians, we might have time to revisit trade tiers because there's been some guys called up and some guys hurt, so we might have to revisit that if time allows. If not, we'll get to that on Thursday. We will be talking about draft targets because we do want to increase our focus on the draft and names we think will be at 19, names that won't get to 59. The Guardians have to consider, so we'll have a bunch more draft names to talk about today. So about some big promotions in the minors, so there is some positive news to talk about. There are some really good promotions going on in the minors for the Guardians. We'll get into what those mean. Unfortunately, we do have to start today's show off with the Guardians finding a new way to lose. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKDOWN for $20 off your first purchase. Jeff Ellis over there, host of Locked On Guardians for 8 years. I'm Justin Lada. I've been here for 4. Some people are still mad that we do the intros. We've cut them down quite a bit. The network says we still have to, partially do them. So if you're mad about it, take it up with the network. But we've cut down. Remember, the intros did used to take about 2 minutes, Jeff. So we are 2 minutes.
I would talk during them. I don't talk during them anymore.
Yeah, we just get them out of the way. So they're much quicker than they used to be, but they are still part of the requirements for the show. Because any show could be someone's first show, and they need to know why on earth they should be listening to us. And it's hard to get to 30 minutes of depth every single day, and know if you can trust it or not. Because we do ramble a lot, and
like we're doing now.
Well, I guess I'm rambling to get to. Let's just delay the inevitable.
No, let's not delay it. Let's just kick down the door and go through with it. This is a game that a lot of people, on today's show, like you said, we're gonna talk about the game. We're gonna talk about some trade tiers. We got promotions. We got draft. I've been writing like a madman. I'm up to 51 profiles, so I have a lot of things to talk about there. But let's start at the beginning. Outside of I was texting with you. It's so in the first inning, Tanner got Jock Peterson out with a curve on the outside. And then Jock was waiting for it and came back and hit a pitch outside the zone, by the way, for a 2-run home run. There's not much you can do about that. Kyle Manzardo got him on the board early. Jacob deGrom is one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's going to be tough. It was great to see. I'm just going to bring it up now. I'm not going to wait. Manzardo has been he's been cold of late. Let's not beat around the bush. But over the last 30 days, not last 30 games, because you and I looked this up, but over the last 30 days, he's been the best hitter on this team. He had a home run early on. Why are we pinch hitting for him and not Cooper Ingle late in the game, who was 0 for 3 with a strikeout and Manny Ramirez moment of forgetting how many outs there were? It's a situation where in Cooper has played 3 games. He's now had 2 miscues out there. It's rough. And we talked about with Watson. He had a really rough debut, and then he had 5 great games, and then not so much since. It's gonna happen. That's the cost of playing rookies. Cooper, it's maybe hopefully risk. This is the worst game of his career. He goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, so. And then honestly, one can make the case cost his team a chance to win the game by throwing the ball.
Sean Armstrong made sure he was not alone.
I know, and we'll get to that. But it's rather than focusing on everything negative, it's we had some people accuse us of not being harsh enough on Tanner because he was on the show in the past. I was kind of curious. I went and looked it up. Over the course of this year, do you know how many times Tanner has given up more than 4 earned runs in a game?
More than 4? So
yes.
Not just 4, but more than 4? More than 4, I'm going to say twice.
Oh, yes, twice. Do you know how many times he's given up 4 runs or more?
4 runs or more? I'm going to say 4 times.
It's only 3 times.
Oh.
So it was Atlanta, Washington, and then Kansas City, 4 earned runs. The other side of it, how many times has Gavin Williams given up 4 or more runs?
I'm going to say 5.
It's only 4 times. It's Kansas City, Minnesota, Toronto, and Milwaukee. But so it's they've been very but the reason I wouldn't say they're like super similar is because we've seen Tanner of late be a better pitcher. Like, it's a little more consistency of late. It's a little bit of a better performance. Tanner's 5. So all of his outings, 412, 525, 504. So literally since we've gotten into, June, he has been what sub 2 ERA I saw in June. And when you look at, the interesting thing with Gavin is only that Milwaukee game was one of his. His were also kind of early May.
Tanner's June numbers, by the way.
He's really kind of settled in.
189 ERA this month and 33 and a third innings and 5 starts.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot of things really well. It's another game like he gives up 2 earned runs, 3 total runs, and you just have to sit back and be like, hey, they found a new way to not support Tanner, to throw the ball into the outfield to the fans.
Do you think the Guardians teammates hate Tanner Bibee as much as they hate Josh Naylor?
So
people
are asking us about this in the comments.
You have to wonder.
I think everyone else is pointing this out. Like, if you didn't, I've mentioned this before on the show. Like, Josh Naylor plays too much. Like, that's always been the thing. Like, he stabbed a teammate in the minor leagues, and that's why he got shipped out of Miami. Like, you can go see the Stone Garrett stories.
Yeah.
That whole thing. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Tanner. Armstrong, man, it's not, again, whoever their number 1 free agent signing is, it always fails. So Armstrong was a dud, and then it was nice to see Espino after 2 rough starts come in and have a nice inning. And then like the other side of it, people and getting honest, since that great game in Houston, Bazana has been abysmal. Ladder still had a hit in this one, big home run, and it was a double. Like, he hit that ball well, right? Wasn't it a double he had before the home run?
And he just missed a homer later in the game. I think if that hit at the right field, it would have been a homer. It just died at the track.
And then, credit to Schneemann, who's been playing better of late as well. He had 2 hits in this one and a stolen base. So, like, there were some positives. But, at the end of the day, they and again, another game with no walks. And
I was just going to say, you read my mind.
They're not working. They're working counts to varying degrees, and then they're just striking out or making bad content. Oof. No, that's what I feel like I'm making sometimes with this.
They are making bad content. They're making bad content for us.
Yeah, it's it's rough to watch. It's hard to see. Tanner was great. Your rookies, almost all of your rookies were awful. And this team isn't going to win right now since they're relying on rookies. But it's like, okay, so Espino was good and Ladder is okay. But the rest of your rookies were atrocious, and this team can't win when you got 3. For a long time, Bazana was carrying this team, and now
Manzardo,
and you're just like I said, Bazana it's ugly right now. And then Watson, it's the up and down nature, and then like Ingle, let's not bury the poor kid. It was hopefully, like I said, it's his worst game of his career. But I think what stinks is just it's such a winnable thing, but I feel like everyone else does, right? Like the minute that home run was hit, I'm like, well, this game's over. When Peterson hit the 2-run, I'm like, they're not going to get another run across, and they didn't.
Yeah, no, you're right. I know some people are going to get mad about Ingle, and look, it's a bad mistake. Like you have to know how many outs there are. And it's so funny because yesterday, the drop fly ball he had on, or not drop fly ball, was the one on Sunday, right? Wasn't Monday.
Bad break to the ball.
And I said, you know what? I don't blame him because he's out of position. He hasn't played it enough. This is a necessary risk. It's on the front office for not having prepared him well enough, and I think they can accept that blame. And I said that, and then this happens, and I'm like, well, no matter what position. Yeah, no matter what position you play, you have to know how many outs there are. Like as a catcher, you have to know. Like you're locked in, so I'm just not sure what happened. It was. Yeah, I mean, you could easily say like after he threw that out of the play, you're like, all right, well that's the game, and hey, he could. I mean, the one thing I guess you can say, not necessarily it's positive, but Stephen Vogt talked about like how Tanner Bibee was like, man, it's fine, it'll even out or whatever, and then all the teammates had the same message to him. They picked him up and they said like, not going to bury the kid forward either. So the culture and the clubhouse is still supportive and good, which you really need when you go through tough times. Like I know people are going to say, oh yeah, the power of friendship is winning no games. Yes, that's true. It's true. It's not, but you're also not going to do better by screaming at the kid in the dugout, after making a mistake too, because he feels bad and it didn't cost him the game because Sean Armstrong stinks. So
And because Stephen Vogt couldn't manage the ninth, because again,
let's talk about that. Let's talk in 1 minute. Let's talk about
let's talk about how poorly that ninth. I mean, it probably didn't matter, but it was managed poorly.
Yeah, it probably didn't matter, but yeah, Stephen Vogt. I said at the top of the show, I said the Guardians are finding new ways to lose. They're not helping themselves, and Stephen Vogt's the one that is not helping his team win right now. Well, this is the part where I would say it's a lot of fun to go to baseball games with your favorite team, like the Guardians, but maybe you want to give that a break right now. I was there twice this week. I'll be there on Thursday. Games are fun to watch live. Maybe you're into the World Cup. I know USA plays this week. Or maybe you want to go to a concert. Getting tickets to those kind of events is hard. It's a grind because you get queues, you get surprise fees. It's tough to find the right ticket, right? But when you have game time, you have the app that gives advantages back to fans like you and I. With constant innovation, you can unlock amazing tickets and experiences. Just a few taps, simple to use, and you always get the game time guarantee, which means 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price, because the price you see is the price you pay. There are no of those surprise fees at checkout. My wife is going to see Benson Boone this summer with family because of game time, and honestly, I would use it for any big event. It's just so much easier, especially if you want to go last minute. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the app. Create an account. Use code LOCKDOWN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create your account. Redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. As always, thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get your podcast. If you want more of Guardians talk after the show is over, maybe you need to commiserate with us or other people about how frustrated you are, you can do that with the Everydayer Club. It gets you ad-free access to all the audio episodes. Also gets you access to the private listener Discord, which is where you'll find the other fans of the team, listeners of the show, Jeff and I, and a channel on Discord for every single Locked On show on the entire network. Go to LockedOnGuardians.supercast.com. Check the link in your show notes to learn more. So yes, Stephen Vogt, the two-time manager of the year. I would argue that, 2024 was his first year, and they went to the ALCS. I know those votes are put in before you get to the playoffs. So they won the division title. He won it that year. Great. It was a rookie, and they did great. Last year, I'd argue he won it because he kept the team together through the shenanigans of alleged rooster betting, right? It's rooster betting. It's not betting on sports as he said, or baseball. It was rooster betting is what we'll go with for now. He kept the team together through that and being down 15.5 games to win the division. So, well earned there. And I think culture still matters here. And manager of the year doesn't mean that much because it's always to the guy who has the least amount of expectations, and they do really well. Even though last year is a special case because of all they went through. So I guess that was well earned. I still have a hard time understanding some of the decisions. Like you and I always do. We talk about it. We talk on the show, trying to understand where the Guardians come from, right? Like it's a lot of people think, oh, you're carrying water, you're defending them. And a lot of times it comes off that way because I think we're trying to understand where they're coming from. It's us trying to explain and follow the logic. Do you feel that's fair? Because that's how I kind of feel.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always tried to follow the logic, and I did not understand the logic today in the ninth.
Yeah, that's what's been happening is having a hard time following the logic. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's just like people act like we're carrying water for them and defending them. It's like
we're always trying to explain the how is what I always say.
Yes,
we're always trying to explain the how and the why.
Yeah. The last 2 days, I just can't understand. Like the David Fry and Rhys Hoskins with the opener on Monday, and that didn't work out. And then, pinch hitting Rocchio for Manzardo in the ninth inning, and then David Fry for Cleo Watson. Like I understand that, Cleo Watson probably is a platoon guy, but like David Fry just isn't getting it done, and he was bad again. And then
struck out.
Then you let Ingle hit, which I can't get so mad about that because are you gonna go to Rhys Hoskins there? I guess, but you were right.
You shouldn't.
Off air.
Yeah,
because Daniel Sheeman had 2 hits tonight, so leave him in.
No, the whole thing was a failure because Manzardo's had your only offense. He's been your best hitter over the last 30 days. So you don't pull him. then Watson, arguably over the last week, he's been their best hitter over the last week in terms of performance. You go get Fry, who has been just terrible, who's been not a major league player this year. And then after that, you leave in Cooper Ingle, who's like, if there's ever a time to go get someone, you get Hoskins in that situation. Steeman's got 2 hits. It's not like Ingle is a right-hand bat. Like, leaving Ingle in, who's had a rough day, to, I don't know, try to give him a chance to redeem himself instead, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. It just makes his day worse in the end. It's like every single call was the wrong call. And even the call he didn't even get to make in the end because no one got on base was the wrong call. I think and again, probably doesn't matter. They probably leave those guys out there and it doesn't work out anyways, but it was literally every single decision he made in the 9th was the wrong decision. And then it's good that he got Espino some reps out there. And I think this is kind of the killer with this team right now is weirdly, they're not getting absolutely destroyed, right? They're not having big blowouts. Every game is kind of close, which makes them all harder for us to deal with. But then it also means like, Daniel Espino hadn't pitched in a while, so I have to go to him. But it's also weird how often they go to Armstrong. Like, I'm almost more comfortable going to Festa than Armstrong at this point. Like, in a close game like this, I think I'd rather see Matt Festa out there than Sean Armstrong. So I don't know why and Armstrong pitched earlier this week where Festa threw one third of an inning. Like,
Armstrong pitched 2 games in a row where he was not good.
Yeah, well, he's pitched a whole bunch where he's not good.
No, but like the last 2, he pitched 2 back-to-back days, and he was bad in both games. I didn't understand that. Yeah, he pitched on Saturday and Sunday. He was bad in both. He didn't pitch on Monday, and then he pitched tonight. So his last 3 outings, specifically, I'm sure there's more, but he was specifically bad his last three outings. And yeah, they got the home run from Manzardo early, which was really fun. And like with Jacob deGrom, it's like if you're going to hit an ace, you're going to have to hit him early, and they did, and they stopped doing it because again, no walks. But yeah, I'm with you. Like here's the problem. Like Andrew Walters is on the IL with an elbow injury, which we have no idea what's going to happen, but it doesn't sound good. And Trevor Stephan, is not an option. He's off the 40. Espino's up, but it's kind of shaky. He's kind of a low leverage guy. Cody Hoyer is just the I-71 shell guy. Like for as much as we were excited about the arm early in the year, like it hasn't gone well for him. And Alamon should be up, but like beyond that, there's no more depth. Like you don't have any depth behind that. One of the guys we should talk about is Justin Campbell. Maybe he's that depth. Like he's going to Triple-A Columbus. We should probably talk about the promotions that happened today. We'll start with Campbell. Unless you've got anything else you want to say about this game, because I'm kind of over it.
It's just going through the comments. A lot of people are mad about, the angle of this and that. But it's like, bottom line, they needed more offense. And then you also need, even if your offense isn't hitting, they needed to build up that pitch count. So they couldn't go directly. But I got to assume Latz has to be done tomorrow after going 2 innings yesterday and 1 today. So on the upside is Latz can't pitch tomorrow.
Yeah, I was surprised he went today. Yeah, well, but it's okay because Tyler Alexander can come back tomorrow because he didn't pitch on Tuesday. So
true.
It'll be Tyler Alexander, which is great. So, yeah, Justin Campbell got promoted to Triple-A today, which is a great story for him because, again, if you've been following it all, he was drafted in 2022, and he was 22, in the competitive balance round with the 37th overall pick. Immediately had Tommy John, and then had a multitude of other arm surgeries and setbacks.
Took him before Messick.
And yeah, I took him before Messick.
Before Messick
reached the big leagues.
Yeah,
Messick reached the major leagues before Justin Campbell even threw a competitive pitch because Messick was up last year, and Campbell's first competitive pitch wasn't until this past April in High A Lake County. And now he is at the level he probably should have been at all along. He's age 25. He probably could be in the majors by now if he hadn't gotten hurt, but at the very least, he's in Triple-A. So it's like he's made up that entire missed years in half a season, which is incredible. Like he had a great run at Double-A. He had a 3.33 FIP, a 2.70 ERA, which for a 25-year-old you should be that good, but he's not your average 25-year-old, right? Because he missed 4 years basically of competition. He was even better at Low A or High A, which he should have been. I kind of wonder if like he's got to be on the 40-man roster at the end of the year. Is Campbell a guy that you find room for who can maybe help you out of the bullpen? Because he's going to come up on an innings limit. I mean, he's at 51 now, right? Like how I don't even know what the precedent is for a guy who misses 4 years. Like what's your medical or sports science diagnosis for like how many innings is it okay for a guy who hasn't pitched in 4 years to pitch? but maybe he's an option in September. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard to judge him. It's the same debate, honestly, they need to have with Espino. And it's like, Espino is up, and I'm glad he's up, but I personally am of the belief, we're talking about like the options. Like, I think Espino should probably go back to Triple-A for Alamon. Like, Alamon has kind of earned the opportunity and can pitch a little more regularly. And they rushed Espino, and they did. I feel like part of it was like, let's just make sure he gets this opportunity in case things go sideways. Like, they gave him the opportunity, and especially because, I wouldn't be surprised if he sees limited innings through the course of the year because he's pitched so little. And I think that's the thing with Campbell. It's going to be monitoring his innings. He's been a great story. He's a great development. I think he's a borderline top 10 prospect right now for this organization. Well, I mean, it's also because they've graduated so many players.
True.
It's made it easy between, not just graduations, but also like Peyton Pillette going back to the White Sox. It's like they've had a lot of movement on their top 30.
Messick, Bazzana.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places to go with it. But yeah, I think he could be an interesting choice. He could be another guy. And, I'm going to go ahead and say it as well. Like, someone you'd mentioned, but it's because he's had health at points. But Yorman Gomez, I think, especially with just his mix and stuff, could eventually be an option in the pen late in the year this year.
Yeah. Yeah, he could be as well. So they have to add Campbell to the 40 at the end of the year anyway. So he's up in Triple-A. It's just a great story. Like, it's amazing that a guy who missed 4 years can come back with a fastball increase. Like, his fastball was kind of light in college. Now he can hit 95. And I don't know if the trait's necessarily great, but he gets a lot of extension. I'm going to be excited for his first Triple-A outing so we can get really good data on him. He's got the curveball, the sweeper, the cutter, curveball and changeup are really good pitches. His control at Double-A wasn't so good compared to High A, so I'm guessing now that he'll use the Triple-A ball, we're going to see some bumps in the road because that's just very common for that, unfortunately. So
yeah, it's a hard transition.
It is, and there was some new information today about the baseball at the major league level, which we won't have time to get into today, but we can get to at some point. But if you're not following along, the major league ball and the Double-A ball are not the same. They're manufactured differently, and it's weird, and it's all about cost because baseball is cheap. Nobody hates baseball more than Major League Baseball, and nobody hates us more than the Guardians because all we do is show them love, and they give us nothing but hate. We'll continue to talk about more promotions, some draft picks as well, some potential draft picks to get excited about because the draft is, 2 weeks away, draft? Next week. Is it?
I don't want to talk about it.
He's not ready to talk about it. The back to school ad, no problem. The draft, he is not ready for.
No.
But we have all that coming up on the rest of this episode. Less bad stuff, more good stuff. Well, he did say that Team USA does play this week in the biggest stage of world soccer. Every match feels like it has potential for a memorable moment. You have one goal that completely can change the game, shifts the momentum, and alters the outcome in just one instant. That is what makes tournament soccer, any tournament of sports, so exciting. Opening whistle to final kick. And FanDuel is giving fans like you another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. So you can bet on a match and you get bonus bets for every goal scored in the match. The more goals mean more bonus bets unlocked. All you got to do is turn on your token in the app. I'm not going to look more at soccer. I don't even know who Team USA is playing, but I know they're playing. But I was actually looking over at Rookie of the Year on FanDuel. And we'll see what Jeff says when we come back from this. But believe it or not, Travis Bazzana and Parker and Chase DeLauder still ahead of Parker Messick when it comes to Rookie of the Year bets. So the field of betting still thinks that DeLauder and Bazzana still have a better chance to pay out as Rookie of the Year over Parker Messick. Don't understand that one at this point. But opening whistle to final kick. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com right now to get started. Well, if you would have hit the bell on YouTube and subscribed, you would have gotten a notification of the reaction video to today's loss, or Tuesday's loss, as it were, on your phone, so you could be frustrated along with me and disappointed. Again, disappointed, not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. But you could do that. You can subscribe. You can also download on all your favorite audio platforms. We are free everywhere you get podcasts, and auto download keeps the show in your feed, so you never miss an episode. It's the best way to support the show, which a lot of you are still doing despite these trying times. So we do appreciate that. So we talked about Justin Campbell. The other big bit of news, well, Jeff, there's one player I'm going to let Jeff talk about because it's kind of his guy at this point. But Braylon Doughty is going to Double-A Akron. That's big because he was a 19-year-old. I think he's still going to be 19 all year. He turned 20 finally. I wrote the other day and now I've already forgotten. But he's 20 years old. He won't be 21 until the end of the season. So he spent all of his age 19 year at low A, 85 innings, and now he finishes high A at 60 innings at age 20, and he'll be at Double-A at age 21. And I know age to level doesn't really matter as much as it used to, but that's a pretty big jump for Braylon Doughty. Walk rate down over last year, strikeout rate slightly up. Everything looks pretty darn good right now for Braylon Doughty. He's throwing harder. He's like 94, 96 at times. The curveball is still a really good pitch. The slider's good. I think the changeup still has some work to go. He's added a cutter. He is by far and away, to me, the number one pitching prospect in the system. And I don't know if this is the year to do it or not. In terms of I'm always like saying, you know what, trade the prospects, it'll be fine. But I'm getting a little bit close on Braylon Doughty to saying like, okay, almost untouchable. Like
he's not going to net you a ton though.
Really, he's a top 100. I mean, he's now a top 100 prospect.
He's a back end top 100, and he's undersized. He's a great athlete, but he's still an undersized right-handed pitcher. Like that's not again. Like I like Doughty a lot. He was I wanted Ryan Sloan in that spot. Like a Ryan Sloan nets you more. That was my top rated because as everyone knows out there, when it comes to pitchers, I like big butts and I cannot lie. That was why I liked Ryan Sloan a lot. So I like Jack Riddell a lot this year when we get to draft talk. But I like Doughty. Doughty was my number 2, number 3 prep arm. It was Doughty, Sloan, and Caminiti. But Doughty being like 6'1" is an issue. Like a lot of teams still are sizest when it comes to pitchers. So I think he's a relatively. I don't think I have always had him as the top pitching prospect, and well, that's not true. I had Messick ahead of him, but I had Messick, then Doughty, and then Stephen was my third. So I feel pretty good with those ranks overall. But
I'd move Stephen down. Yeah.
Those are just my 1, 2, and 3 in the off season for my pitching prospects. But it's like I think Doughty is fine. He's a great pitch mix. He's a great athlete. He does a lot of things well. I don't think he's an umph piece, right? Like, as much as I was not an Alex Clemmie guy, at least that guy was huge and threw hard. And it's hard for a Doughty to be a centerpiece. Like Doughty is a centerpiece.
Is he a B?
He's like he's an A. He's like right on that AB line, I think.
B plus?
Yeah, he's a top 100 guy. But I would also argue Cooper Ingle's a top 100 prospect for a while now, and he's an AB type of guy. Like he's not a pure A. Like a guy who's a bad catcher, can maybe play some outfield, and again, I know he had home runs at Triple-A, but everyone does in that park. Will Wilson had a bunch of home runs in that park. It's like he's an average power at best guy. You're kind of counting on hit tool and walks with Ingle. It's like the only A pieces in the system are Janelle and Ralphie. Those are the only A's. And then the B's are now Stefan's hurt. He's out of that. So it's Doughty, it's Ingle, it's Churio. And I think those are your only B pieces. It's like, and that's the problem. It's like, Franklin Gomez is hurt. He could have maybe been a BC type. Arias is hurt. He could have maybe been a B type. Stefan's hurt.
Yeah.
He could have been a B type. Like they've had Oki's been kind of terrible. Campbell's probably more of a BC type.
I think Oki's been more than kind of terrible. He's been pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, Junior Caceres is probably close to a B type, but I think again, his size is going to hurt him. Like teams are still sizist as much as the game has changed and evolved, but it's still
low A too, which is hard.
Yeah. And they want guys in the upper minors too, and a lot of trades and pieces, but also at the same time, you know what? Like guys as highly rated as Ralphie and Janelle just don't get traded. And then the other thing we got to be real honest about at the deadline, there's too many teams in it. There's going to be too many teams that think they still have a chance, and they're not going to trade their pieces because that's what happens every year. Every year people complain like, why didn't they make the big trade for so-and-so? I'm like, well, that guy didn't get traded. Like you can't force a team to make a trade. And that's the same thing too. Like a team that is disappointing this year. Like let's say the Nationals have been a little bit up and down. They don't have to trade CJ Abrams. They had him for another year. Like you don't have to flip a piece. It's the same thing as how for years, like Blue Jays fans acted like Cleveland should just go ahead and trade Jose. It's the same difference. Teams don't want to trade their established talent until they have to. And it's that situation where I don't see a whole lot on the market right now. I just got I talked about my pieces on last Friday's episode. You can go listen to that one. But
you should not talk about your pieces. That's not appropriate.
I'm always talking about my pieces, trying to get word out there, trying to get people talking. But
someone should tell your wife. I think we should get her down here. Listen to that. There were a lot of guys on the Marlins that I was interested in, but you know what? The Marlins
have turned
had
it around.
The best record. Well, they had the best record the month of June in baseball. They're 20-6 this month. They're 5.5 out of the NL East. They're better than the frickin' Mets. So you're right. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard to make trades. Like, unfortunately for the Guardians, the two teams that are most likely to trade are the Tigers and the Royals, and they're both in the AL Central. And I don't know what the Reds and the Pirates are going to do. And the Cardinals are still decent.
I mean, remember how we were like, everyone was like, the Red Sox are going to have a top 3 pick. Now they're 5 games out of the wild card. Yeah.
Oh God, they are.
Yeah,
and they're still 9 below 500.
Yeah, like they've turned it around. I mean,
this league is someone in our comments the other day said the league's not mediocre. There's parity, and I'm like, I don't think it's mediocre. I think it's mediocre. I don't think it's parity.
I mean, it's interesting too because it's like, I mean, they should be okay because they're facing each other. It's like, how much could the NL have really beat up on the American League? Where it's in the NL, there's only 4 teams under 500, but.
Well, this is what happens when you introduce more playoff teams and you keep the trade deadline. Like, it's August 3rd. It's like, if you're going to have more playoff teams, you got to have a later trade deadline because teams are going to all be. I
mean, real soon, Boston's going to pass the Orioles. So maybe that benefits Cleveland. Maybe they can.
Oh, yeah. Taylor Ward and your guy, Rico Garcia.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Bennett Thompson? We're going to have to push draft targets to tomorrow, but. Bennett Thompson was the other big name today.
Yeah, it's nice to see Bennett Thompson promoted. I've dug Bennett Thompson since they took him in the 13th round of the 2024 draft. He was a good athlete. If you listen to Paul Gillespie recently on that broadcast, we talked about how he was a plus defender at the time when they drafted him. That is certainly not the case now. He is a bat first catcher. He is not strong defensively behind the plate. He does not throw guys out. It's definitely
right-handed.
He is. He's right-handed. It's a Cooper Ingle-esque profile. And I mean, all he's done is just hit the tar out of the ball this year. And for a guy who's not the biggest, which I mean, in general, catchers aren't. Like, catcher is the one position you want a guy who's sub 6 feet. Like, he is the reason he is finding so much success. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I've heard some of the people who have like more insider knowledge than we do, have talked about some really good batted ball data. But the stuff we have, it's like, he does the 2 things that you need to do when you have limited talent, which is he pulls the heck out of the ball. He's always looking to pull it, and he hits line drives. So he's driving it hard and pulling it all, where it needs to go. What did I say?
First, you're talking about your
pieces. I was talking about my pieces.
Your pieces, and now okay. I think it's time for us to go.
It's time for us to go. Let's have. I didn't have an ad read, so I had to have some fun here at the end because it's been a frustrating time for all fans. But Thompson's interesting. He's fun. I think Thompson and Campbell are probably right now like my 2 biggest helium guys in this system. Like, for those people ask every time I say this, helium is the guys who are rising high quickly, just like a balloon with helium rises high. Those are the guys who kind of jump up and go spots. It's those 2 and Luke Hill, I would say, are my top 3 helium guys right now in this system.
Luke Hill, who hasn't played in 10 days or like 8 days.
I know, because we can't have nice things this year.
We cannot have nice things. No, I'm just going to go and scroll Twitter and refresh it to see if LeBron's coming home. That's like the only thing I can look forward to at this point.
I mean, the Blue Jackets have put me in a funk sports-wise. So it's all bad. Right. And then the Browns have training camp, and that'll be terrible. And then it's just like everything's bad right now. Everything's bad.
Ohio State had a great
possible timeline.
They're having a great recruiting class, so there is that. Nolan Schubart hit a grand slam off a 24-year-old outfield. Hey, it could be worse. Go look at West Michigan's roster in High A. They've got like 25-year-olds, 27-year-olds, 29-year-olds playing High A ball, where they're probably sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with another guy and getting paid, a couple $1,000 a month to play baseball.
Detroit needs to trade Scooble and probably Mize to try to help with their minor leagues.
The question is,
very top heavy.
Can Scott Harris survive his job?
I think he'll survive it. I think he's fine. But they need to build back up because they're going to lose some people. I really want Scooble to go to the Brewers, not just because I live here, but because Scooble and Mizorowski would be a lot of fun to watch. Crazy.
So we'll punt draft talk to tomorrow. I promise we'll get to it tomorrow. We kind of visited the trade tiers tonight with the Doughty and all that stuff. We'll talk more trade ideas. I'm sure Jeff is itching to do a mock draft. We got to do a mailbag at some point. We'll wrap up Guardians Rangers on Thursday with all of you, and then we'll take a look ahead to the. I can't believe I'm saying this on July 1st, but okay. You like playing me off like the Oscars?
Yeah, I was. Sorry.
We'll talk about the big series, 4-game series with the White Sox. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true.
Thank you all for joining us. Remember to review, download daily. It helps set us for automatic downloads. And go Guardians, go.